828. This Batman theme in the movie sort of gives me the feeling of what's going to be coming forward out of the mouth of Gerald Celente, trends forecaster and publisher of the Trends Journal. Good morning again, Gerald.
Good morning, Curtis.
Gerald, I'm thinking that if I were in Athens, Greece at this moment, drinking stale Turkish coffee, smoking stale Turkish cigarettes at the taxpayer's expense, and not having a care in the world because Euro soccer is over and now the Olympics are going to start, the freaking Greeks again, all 11 million, have taken us to the abyss. We are ready to slide in because they're not going to be able to pay their debt to the Germans. So now what do they do to reconfigure this?
Well, it's not only the Greeks. They're only 2% of the whole Eurozone. They're small potatoes. You have to look at what's going on in Spain, and then you look at what's going on in Italy. And, of course, you still have the problems in Ireland and Portugal. And when you look at the Irish and Italian debt, we're talking real numbers here. I mean, Italy's about the, sixth largest economy in the world and the third in Europe. So, or they're way up there anyway. And so when you're looking at their debt, you're looking at over about $2.5 trillion. There's no way out. And what should be the headline news, Curtis, is this whole LIBOR scandal. And people wouldn't know a LIBOR if they got hit over the head with one. You know, they make it so arcane. The whole game is rigged, and the whole thing is coming down. And the banks are making money no matter what. And nobody's ever heard of anything. This is the greatest bank robbery in world history, and the banks are doing the robbing. You know, are the Greeks at blame for it? Yeah, to some extent. But let's look around the world. Hey, how about that new book that just came out by Neil Barofsky, the guy that was put in charge under Bush to see what happened to our $700 billion in TARP money? And he makes it clear right away. He says, to paraphrase him, if people think that the game is rigged and the money's going to all the banks and the elites, they're right. And this is a guy that's in charge.
Well, now
So they're bringing down the system.
Well,
they're raping us in front of our eyes.
Well, explain that to me. How is it that years after the implosion of 2008, I'm running a big bank, I'm a big CEO, I've just appeared like Jamie Dimon or any of the other big markers, I continue to get money at 0% and then extort you when I lend it out? How is it we permit that to take place?
Listen, you're a street guy. It's no different than the loan shark on the street. They just make it look nicer. How do we permit it? And that's a good question. And, you know, we're coming out with the Trends Journal at the end of this week. And that's the question I keep asking. When are people going to find the courage, the dignity, the self-respect, and the integrity and passion to call these SOBs out? And to look at our political system and see how corrupt the damn thing is. Oh, you know what? I love it. These politicians, they take campaign contributions. Could any adult say bribes and payoffs? The whole thing is bought and paid for. They are driving us into the ground in front of our eyes, and people are letting them get away with it. The European system is in collapse. Gold, as we speak now, it just shot up about $20. You know why? Because now the word's coming out of Europe is they're going to let them keep printing all this digital money not worth the paper it's not printed on. The same thing in the United States. Again, that guy, Bailout, that book by Borowski, he goes on to say that they sold us this TARP program, and I remember it perfectly. I remember hearing it on the way coming into work with that guy Paulson, the former Treasury Secretary in the Bush. We were doing this to save the American people who were having real estate problems. None of the money went to the people. He details it in black and white. It's a takeover. Wall Street has hijacked Washington. You know, I mean, remember, you know, people say, oh, it's Celente, you know, you sound angry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, guess what? You know, the only time the Prince of Peace, Jesus Christ, becomes violent is when he picks up a whip to drive the money changers out of the temple. The money changers are in control. J.P. Morgan Chase, Goldman Sachs, Dexia, Wells Fargo, Go down the list. City, they're nothing more than money changers, and they're stealing from all of us. You know what? If I was a cat on the street, I grew up in the Bronx, social climb to Yonkers. When I was a kid, and if I was of a different mind, I could understand why people would say, let's go pull off a deal. Why shouldn't we? They're robbing us all over. What's wrong with you? They keep raping us, and you want to do a straight deal? What's wrong with you? The fish rots from the head down, and the fish is rotting. The rotten fish is Wall Street and Washington.
All right, but Gerald, you dabble in the market. You make referrals to people in terms of what they should be doing and the trends that are coming about. How is it you're able to deal with that system, and yet as you pointed out, that they've hoodwinked everyone?
I don't. I don't give financial advice, by the way. I only tell people what I do, and I buy gold. And one of the ways I used to buy gold was through people like MF Global. And I used to buy futures contracts and take delivery later on. But John Corzine robbed my money, went into my account, took my money, and he can't find $1.6 billion. You get it. You create the most minor violation. The SWAT teams come crashing down your door. Don't sell raw milk, but you can't find 1.6 billion. Have you seen that slime ball do any time? Have you seen them even call him up on charges? No. Have you seen one head on Wall Street roll? No. And what I'm saying, and that's what this Trends Journal is about, if you're going into any mutual fund, any stock company, anywhere, any place, guess what? You're going to get screwed, and you're not going to have any recourse to get your dough back, no matter what they say. The odds are against you. The game is rigged.
Last week, I don't know if you had a chance to see it, the largest bank in Europe, HSBC, I think the COO was at a hearing on the Hill. He admitted, we've laundered millions and millions of dollars for drug traffickers and terrorists. At the point where the continued cross-examination was taking place, he got up. He said, I'm resigning from the bank. He walked out. I said to myself, Gerald, he's just admitted the bank for years has been laundering money for drug dealers and for terrorists, people who have threatened our very existence. He resigns in the middle of the hearing, walks up, walks out, nobody arrests him, no charges filed against him. HSBC hunkering down, expecting to pay billions and billions of dollars in fines, and that's it. And nobody will go to jail for that. Nobody.
You got it. And you know why? Because the merger of state and corporate powers is called fascism by definition. And fascism has come to America. They beat down the average person, and they give their fascist friends a free ride. Look, we're around the same age. Nobody's ever seen this in our lifetime. There's no morality and there's no integrity. It's gone. And it's happening right in front of our eyes.
Gerald, what would you suggest? You've painted a picture of so much doom and gloom that's about to take place. What would you suggest to an average person listening?
On the personal level, I'm telling people, look at this as the summer of the grasshopper and the ant. Really become serious. Don't spend a nickel you don't have to. Anything you do, buy quality. Keep buying everything you can locally and support what you can locally. I'm not voting in this election. I refuse to vote for a lesser of two evils. I have nothing to do with evils in my life. I try to push them out, whether it's in relationships, business, or anything. We need a new system, but it all comes back to the individual. Also, I just keep buying, for myself, I only keep buying gold and silver. I also suggest to people that you do not own your money unless you have it in your pocket. And just to consider, why the hell would you keep it in a bank when they make money on it and they don't give you anything in return?
What
is it getting you?
It is a question that people often ask. How come the bank gets their money for 0% interest? Then you put your money in the bank, you get manga nud, practically nothing.
And if it's a checking account, usually you do get nothing.
And then if they lend it out for a capital improvement project in the private sector, they got that ring through your nose because they hit you with that VIG with our money that they get at 0% interest. even though they're making money hand over fist. Try to figure that out. But before you strain your brain, Frank Morano, a little more live and local news, please.